Hi, physics, Mr. Janowski. This is homework 2, problem 7. So we have to add the following vectors together and express our answer in unit vector notation and in angle notation. So what are we looking for here? Step, express our answer, add them together, express it in unit vector notation. So that means we want sigma f is equal to question mark I hat plus question mark j hat times newtons, and we also want it in angle notation. So after we do that, we also have to find sigma f is equal to question mark at some angle, question mark degrees, newtons. So we've got to do both of these things. So what are we doing? We have to add these vectors together. So what we're looking for is sigma f is equal to, and then I'm going to write it this way. We have to add f sub a and f sub b and f sub c. So add these guys together. And I wrote it this way because I'm going to write it this way. So when you're adding these guys together, what you want to do is line everything up very nicely. So f sub a is 30 I hat plus 40 j hat newtons. F sub b is minus 55 I hat plus 55 j hat newtons. And then F sub c minus 125 I hat minus 275 j hat. So we've got to do all this stuff. And the way you actually add these guys is just add them straight down, keep the i's separate from the j's, add all the i's together, get your I hat part, add all your j hats together, get your j hat parts, and see what you get. So ask your calculator. 30 plus minus 55 plus minus 125. So the I hat part of all this is going to be equal to minus 150 I hat. And then the j hat part, we're going to have 40 plus 55 plus minus 275. Which I wrote that in a way my calculator didn't like. Minus 275. So you do that, and you end up with minus 180 j hat. So that's a vector with newtons, and this is what sigma f is equal to. So that's part of our answer. Now to get the other part, the angle notation part, we really have to do a step 0. So what's that going to look like? Let's start with the Cartesian plane. So we've got something like this. Our I hat part is minus 150 I hat, which means we're going to start off going negative 150. Actually, let me write it as a positive, though. Just the way I like to do it. The leftness tells me that it's negative. So 150 newtons going that way. And then negative 180 j hat. So 180 going down. Then I'm trying to draw that so that it's a little bit longer than this guy is wide. Remember, your triangle should look about right. So now I have this. And now I have this angle in here. All right, so we've got that. And that angle in there, theta, let's keep in mind that when you express an angle in angle notation, you always measure from the positive x-axis to your angle. You can do it this way. You could also do it the other way and call it a negative angle if you wanted. But I don't want to do that. I'll keep it this way. That's how I did it before. So notice that this is going to mean that phi, let's call it terrible phi. Phi is going to be equal to 180 degrees plus theta. So keep that in mind. All right, so how do we figure this out? So this is the I hat part. So what this really means is this is sigma f sub x. Make it clear that that's an x. This is sigma f sub y, and this is sigma f. All right, so we've got to do a little bit of Pythagoras here. This is the hypotenuse. So what that means is sigma f squared, so I'm writing this as c squared equals a squared plus b squared, is going to equal sigma f sub x squared plus sigma f sub y squared. So sigma f squared is equal to 150 newtons squared plus 180 newtons squared. That's a plus. Ask your calculator what that's equal to. 150 x squared plus 180 x squared. And you get a big number. So all this ends up being equal to 54,900. So that's way too big a number. That's because that's sigma f squared. So when you take the square root of that number, so raising it to the 1/2 power, we end up with 234.3. All right, so now we have the magnitude of sigma f. How do we get this angle here? We've got to do some inverse trig. So I like to always use tangent. I'll switch to green to keep it a little bit separate looking. So tangent of theta is equal to opposite over adjacent, which is equal to the opposite from this angle is 180 newtons. The adjacent is 150 newtons. So what all that really means is that inverse tangent of 180 over 150 is equal to theta. And what that means, ask calculator for that number. Tan 180 divided by 150. On my calculator, my beloved TI-36X Pro, to get the inverse tangent, you hit tangent twice. That's why I said tan. So yeah, you do this, and what angle do you get? You get 50.19 something, so let's call it 50.2 degrees. Okay. If you check the final answer, that's not the right answer, but remember what's going on here. 50.2 degrees is this angle in here, and we have to express our angle from all the way back to here, which means we're going to use this idea. The angle I'm going to call here phi is 180 plus that 50.2 degrees I just got. So if you do that, that's going to give you phi is equal to 230.2 degrees. So that's what we're going to use. And then finally, I guess we're going to switch back to black. What does that mean? That means sigma f in angle notation is the magnitude, 234.3. Draw your little angle symbol at 230.2 degrees newtons. So put a box around it. We found the right thing with the right units here, degrees is a unit. So we're happy. So that one looks good. That one looks good. So hopefully you're finding this helpful.